Yo guys, what's going on? It is Ash, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a match reaction to the Brentford loss that we've just had. First of all, I'll say we started off okay. Harvey Barnes got his goal. Unbelievable. He sent like three flipping Brentford defenders one way, then the other way, and then just slotted it underneath Kelleher's legs. Very good. But other than that, we was pretty poor, and we have been for the whole of this month, really. So the last two games we've had. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the Champions League because for some reason our form in the Champions League is completely different to our form in the Premier League. It's like we're two different teams. So the West Ham game slapped 3-1. Which this second half was the worst performance I've seen. And then we seem to have carried the performance into the Brentford game. Forget Bilbao because we played great in that game. But again, we are a different team in the Premier League for some reason. I know sometimes it might be hard to motivate players to get up for the Premier League when they're then also doing the Carabao Cup, say the likes of the FA Cup, the likes of Champions League, Europa League, any of these other competitions. Sometimes motivation becomes an issue. So, let's just get through this. God, I'm annoyed. Right, so, few things. Joe Linton came off early. He got two tackles on his leg that he whipped off his quarter of an inch flipping shin pad off. Had basically bruises and stuff above into the side of his on his shin. So yeah, that wasn't ideal. He's came off for Jacob Ramsey, so we got to see more Jacob Ramsey today. Didn't play too well, if I'm being honest. He looks okay. Like just looking at his stats, he had it's pretty good passing actually. That's actually better than what I thought it was. It was decent touches. To be fair, if you look at this, his actual stats of this was quite good, but I feel like he didn't have much impact on the game, to be honest. But either way, regardless of that, but I'll get into why I'm a bit more critical on Jacob Ramsey's performance. So. Eddie Howe. We need to have a little discussion about him. People have been saying, should we get him sacked and replaced? The answer is no. No, we shouldn't. Look, he's got a lot of credit in the bank. We're not used to be challenging for Premier Leagues. We're still not. We've still got a long way to go. I've said over the next year or something, we've just had like the owners put over 110 million, I think it was, into the club, which is going to be going towards getting a new stadium and towards getting a new training ground. So that's all going to be coming in, which is going to bring in players. Eddie Howe's been performing and he hasn't stagnated. He's constantly been going up and up levels, basically season on season with a blip every now and again. But say last season, he got us to another Champions League, which we're in this year, and then obviously took us over the line for the first Carabao Cup, which from our massive trophy drought. So I have no bad words to say about Eddie Howe. As a whole, today, I think there could be some critiques that could be said. Dan Burn, obviously, he got a yellow card. When did he actually get it? Does it say on here? So yeah, here. So Dan Burn got a yellow card towards the start of the second half. Got his second yellow, which obviously we'll go into that. 73 minutes. Pretty poor from Dan Burn, to be fair, to do like compared to how he's normally been playing. It seemed like his head wasn't all the way in it for some reason. Not sure why, but Eddie Howe, in my opinion, should have been bringing him off by the first penalty. The first close penalty that I'll be going into them. Don't you worry, because I disagree with it. What's came about all of that, but in essence, what should have happened, in my opinion, after Dan Burn did that silly mistake for where we got away with potentially conceding the first penalty, he should have brought him off for Lewis Miley. Not Lewis Miley, sorry, Lewis Hall. I just saw Lewis Miley's name as I went down. I don't know why Lewis Hall didn't come off instead of Dan Burn, especially if Lewis Hall's back to being match fit. I presume he's probably still touch and go. But either way, I think if you bring him on at about 60 minutes or something, I think that's a potential nice change. You could have him on after they scored that goal when it was 1-1. Try bring on some new legs, bring something different, because we weren't really having any luck down the left. We weren't having any luck. To be fair, both wings and the middle, like I said, we'll go through in a second, just wasn't doing too great for me this game. It was a pretty lackluster performance, in my opinion. We were having a lot of problem in the final third, which I think you have to put a bit of that down to Jacob Ramsey, because he's meant to, I guess, be in that player in this system, because you have the likes of Tonali back, sort of like as a 6 or an 8, however you want to call him, and then Bruno's obviously just a bit in front of him on the side, and then you would have, say, obviously Joe Linton was going to be that person, but they ended up swapping to Jacob Ramsey to be that person that comes in towards that drifts in to be like a 7 and a 10 sort of a player. Harvey Barnes, like I said, did great for his goal. Didn't do massive the rest of the game. Voltemada honestly didn't really get much service, didn't look too good. Jacob Murphy didn't look too good this game. I don't think he did that much. I don't really remember much of what 29 touches. That's really low, even by Jacob Murphy standards. Like, Jacob Murphy normally is really gets on the ball quite a lot. Like, even just looking through some of that stuff, it's not good. No shots on target. So yeah, it was. We've been looking very dejected in the Premier League, and I'm not a fan. Dan Burn needed to be taken off earlier, especially after the face-up in penalty challenge. If he wasn't brought off at 60 minutes, he was already on a yellow card, so it was only be a ticking time bomb, because they were just sending people down this wing, and he kept on making these silly challenges, and it was only going to be a matter of time before he got a second yellow. So that's Eddie Howe's fault for not swapping that. Nick Pope and the Aaron Ramsdale. So Nick Pope did go down a couple times in this game. Not too sure why, but he ended up getting subbed off for Aaron Ramsdale, which, I mean, I'm not too bothered about that. Aaron Ramsdale's a great keeper. But yeah, Dan Burn, I don't really know what you're doing. But either way, let's go into the challenges. So this is the second one. So here's the first one. This first one, like I said, I'm not going to go through the actual video because copyright. But basically, so here, this is where the challenge was made. Again, for some reason, people say this was stood on the foot. It wasn't. It was basically on the shin. That's where this is when the contact has been made. Basically, then puts down, who is it? Is it Utara? Is that Utara? Yeah, it is Utara. Utara puts his foot down, but plants both his feet and then starts running. So as you can see here, this is after Dan Burn. This is after the challenge. Dan Burn puts his foot down. Utara starts to run onto the ball, and then in the middle of his next step, he just lifts both feet up and dives. It was a dive in that sense. VAR said there was minimal contact, which yeah, there was minimal contact, and the dive really happened after the tackle. So I can see how that wasn't given as a pen. It's one that's pretty touch and go. I think some refs would give it, but personally, I don't like them. I don't think this should be in the game. I think the right call was not to give this a penalty. Just because, like I said, after the sort of contact happened, that was when he decided to jump on the floor. Because I think you've got to remember, like, when the contact happened. So right now, so his foot is planted on the floor. Dan Burn does a little touch on his shin. Doesn't change any trajectory on him, the ball, or anything. Is that classed as a foul? Potentially. You could potentially go down that route. I think this is more of a foul than the second one, which I'll get into. So, like I said, when this happened, this is like, you can see the time here. This happened at 60 minutes, which is around the time when I said about getting Dan Burn actually taken off. So, makes sense. So, after this, definitely should have been coming off for Lewis Miley. Lewis Hall. Yeah, Lewis Hall probably should have came off at this point. And then here is the second one. I have done this frame by frame multiple times, and I cannot see for the life of me where Dan Burn makes any sort of contact on Utara. He goes up, and if there is any, it's less contact than the other one. If I can't tell as well from this angle, this is the only angle that was shown, right? They showed two different angles. The first angle you couldn't see anything of it. Then this second angle was shown from VAR, which was only shown like once or twice, by the way. I have made this point multiple times. They barely showed this challenge for some reason. We all just had to believe that VAR said this. And also, they were showing us basically just Brentford and Newcastle players just stood around the penalty area while they were doing the VR check. Wasn't showing us what happened. But either way, we're led to believe that apparently there is a contact of sort which has basically prevented this, which has caused the penalty. I think when I did this, I've done this frame by frame, I can't see where the contact happens. I think this is less of a penalty than the first one, to be honest. And then obviously this then caused Dan Burn to get a red card and them to get a penalty, which led it to being 2-1. And then they scored again, make it 3-1 in stoppage time. I just think Dan Burn may have needed a break. He's been doing this left back role for quite a bit. He didn't look himself today, to be honest. I don't know if it's. I think we need the likes of Lewis Hall to being able to start some of the games. It's a red if there was contact there. See, this is what, like, obviously this is what this person said. I'm not going to scroll down because who knows what bloody Twitter has on nowadays. But if there was contact, like I said, I went frame by frame. It's quite hard because sometimes the frame might have been taken when there wasn't when there wasn't any contact. If there was very contact, it was very minimal, and it was less contact than the other challenge. So I think if either of them are going to be a penalty, it'll be the other one. So it's just, for me, it's just inconsistencies. That's my only reason why I bring this stuff up, is I just criticize referees for inconsistencies, and I think this was an inconsistency that needs to be sorted out. It's either they're both penalties or neither penalties in my eyes. But yeah, going for the team, we've had a stink. I'm going to show the table, which I kind of wish I didn't. Let's scroll down. There we are, 14th. Wow. Yeah, this is in the middle of the City game, Liverpool game. I've been watching it. Nico Gonzalez got a deflected goal, and Haaland, obviously inevitable, scored at the moment. He's just, bro, Haaland's just different, man. That guy's just off the planet. He's too good. And then obviously they've got us next, which I'm not looking forward to. And then we've also got Marseille. So let's see if we can smash a certain person from there. But yeah, international break as well coming up. See if it gets time to get some of the players' heads back in the game. Johan Wissa hopefully comes back. But like I said, to do with this game, I'm not massively... I've always said this. I'm not concerned massively about some of the stuff that to do with the players up front. Say Voltemade, I've already said this, he's a second striker. So how I would like to be seeing us going forward is having Joe Linton or Jacob Ramsey not start potentially, and having Voltemade slightly behind with Wissa ahead. Again, Anthony Elanga didn't look too good. I'm pretty... Yeah, he came on, 77 minutes. Yeah, we did the 4-way change. Yeah, this Joe Willock, like, so this is the differences, right? When Wissa's back, we're not going to be bringing on the likes of Joe Willock. It'll be like, obviously, Joe Linton, Jacob Ramsey. They'll be interchanging coming on, so that won't be it. Obviously, there was a slight issue today because obviously Joe Linton got injured. God, Reece Nelson. I completely forgot that he's gone over to Brentford from Arsenal. But yeah, shocking performance, to be honest. We need to start seeing some differences. The team doesn't look good in the final third. I think our backline looks good in general, like when we have our normal team. So, like I said, our normal backline lineup will be Tino, Livramento, Malachau, Botman, and then Lewis Hall. That will be our normal four, with the likes of, saying, Dan Burn coming in from being either a centre-back or being left-back. And then you'll have like Tino or Trippier swap in as well. So the backline wasn't how it should be, but that it is not an excuse for what happened. Tonali looked okay. I think he just looked like a normal performance for Bruno and Tonali. I think Bruno was a bit more on it today. I like the look of Bruno. I've been trying to put my finger on why we've been looking worse, and I think it's because something to do with the way these two are playing. They're kind of like, they both have to start. They both have to play, but I think they play too much of a similar position at times. I either just want Bruno to move up the pitch a bit further, which I think he is doing, but I think there just needs to be some sort of more end product, maybe try and do some more overlapping runs. Yeah, either that or we just, like I said, we just need Jacob Ramsey to start more, and then just be a bit more settled in the team, because obviously we've not seen the best of Jacob Ramsey. That will come. But yeah, like I said, I think the ratings are probably about right, to be honest. Yeah, Dan Burn had an absolute stinker today. I can't pretend he didn't, because he really did. He was being sort of outpaced by Utara. Normally, pace isn't a problem for Dan Burn because he's really good at positioning, which kind of takes it away. But he was doing silly challenges. He was doing challenges that were outside the box. That's why he ended up getting a yellow card before that. So yeah, wasn't the one for me. I just think like a team like Brentford, we should be doing very well against, especially when they're pushing high up the pitch. Kelleher, we should be able to get at him. I'm trying to think. We didn't even have massive chances, to be fair. Like, let's have a look at the stats quickly. Because like you see here, like XG 0.42, like that's shocking. We had the possession, doesn't really matter. Accurate passing, that's great. That, like I said, when Jacob Ramsey had over 90%, that's going to be a part of it, but means absolutely nothing if we can't bring it up. Big chances, 1. Shots on target, 1. With 1 goal, it's not good. Not good enough. Obviously, we conceded that long throw, which, again, we have incredibly tall players. That shouldn't be an issue for us. I just think we need to have a mental reset a bit over this international break. Eddie Howe just get back more into these, have a settled squad, just try and get some more patterns of play going and getting up front. I think we're really missing the likes of Wissa. I think he's going to make a massive difference for us. Late November. It's going to be after the international break. I'm slightly worried though. I could somebody will assume that. I'm slightly worried because every time we get closer towards Wissa's time freeze when he'll be coming back, it gets extended. I'm slightly worried about that. But yeah, as you can see here, you've got like all these 3 going to be coming back by the end of the international break. Obviously, Wissa is going to be going away to flipping DR Congo in bloody December for AFCON, which is not good anyway. We needed him to, when he comes back, to actually play for us, because imagine he goes to flipping DR Congo. They've got the likes like Senegal and stuff. Imagine he goes there and then gets another injury. Like, I don't even know what to say if that happens. I'll try not to bring it into existence. Gordon hasn't had a great record in the Premier League this season. And then obviously he's got that hip injury. I'm hoping he can sort himself out again in the international break. But yeah, to be honest, it wasn't a good performance. Where we are on the tables, I'm not even going to complain. I think it's about accurate. We've not been good. We've not looked good. We started off the season looking good when we didn't have a striker, which is weird. But now, like, we do. We've just not been on it. We need to basically just knuckle down, get to the January transfer window, see if we can get someone in. I don't even know who we would get in, to be honest, at that point. Maybe I don't actually know. I just think we need to be having a better passage of play, because I think the reason I'm thinking like who can we get in is we don't need any wingers. We've got basically 2 wingers on each role. We've got sort of 2 strikers, if you like, sort of Voltamada, Johan Wissa. Then obviously we've even got flipping Will Asula as a backup. Defense is good. Keeper's situation is good. I think we just need to get better patterns of play. We need to be a bit more decisive, be a bit more clinical. We're missing too much in the final third. We're missing too much on these second balls and everything. I just think we need to be able to actually hold the ball up and play with possession, build the ball up, get it into the box, instead of just being so rash with some of the things we're doing. I'd love to know what everyone thinks about that stuff, because in my opinion, I'm just seeing too many problems in our build-up play. I think we need to sort that out, and then we will be starting looking good. I would love to know if anyone would think about if we need someone else. Don't say it. I've seen some, mainly, not really the Newcastle fans, it's been other fans that have been saying, oh, you need a new manager to get you to the next level. Especially the likes of Jose, I don't agree with. I think Eddie Howe is doing an amazing job. I think, for me personally, I would want to see him in the job for at least another season. So the next season at least. Hopefully we can get a new training ground sorted, get a new stadium, and then get some more players in. We'll see how he goes. Obviously, if we start getting looking at being relegation battling, then perhaps. But that's all hypotheticals. And you've got to remember, we didn't have sporting directors. We've only started getting them in with the likes of Ross Wilson and stuff, which is looking at doing contracts. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, because if we started losing the likes of Tonali and some other players, obviously we're going to get a lot of money and stuff for them. But we need to keep our best players, and we need to grow. So let's see what the next few games brings us. And after this month, I'm quite happy the international break's coming, because God, we flipping need it, because our squad is looking terrible right now. Like, not the depth, just how we're actually playing. It's not looking good. So hopefully when we come back, obviously it's against Man City. We'll see how we go. But these are our upcoming fixtures. Obviously we've got Man City at home, then the midweek game away to Marseille, and then the Everton game at the end of the month away, which I'm hoping around this time is when Johan Wissa will be coming back. So if he can push to get back for, like, say, the Marseille game. That'll be good. And then obviously we'll see how we go, because there is winnable games in here, and we need to start picking up points. We need to get away from being 14th, but let's see how we go anyway. And let me know what your guys' thoughts are about our season, what you think we should be doing better, how do you think we should be better. And of course, I'll be on the Football Terrace talking about some of this stuff. I'm trying to decide whether to make my channel a bit more generic football stuff, to be fair, because obviously I do watch a lot of football games. So I don't know if it's worth doing that. Obviously, it will be predominantly focused on Newcastle because I'm a Newcastle fan, but I don't have a problem in touching on some of the other teams, especially like Forest got a 3-1 win today, which is very good. Elliot Anderson had a last-minute penalty, and obviously Villa came in and got a 4-0 win, which is big for them. Obviously, Unai Emery's coming back in, which I did say that Villa and us will still be up there with the top of the Premier League, but us and Villa both had a very similar start to the season. Absolutely stinky, but Villa seems to be picking up a bit of form. Hopefully, we start to, and we see a bit of a turnaround. And like I said, this is the game that I'm watching. I'll go back to watching in a second. I just thought I'd make this from half time. But as you can see, Haaland and Nico Gonzalez got the goal. Either way, let's see how we do. And much love, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are, and peace.